Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another would I buy these palettes again if they disappeared out of my collection / if they came out today. So we've got 10 more palettes today. I just sort of stuck my hands in my drawers and pulled out what was first, basically. So let's run through these today. I'm just going to go in order that they're in this pile. So this is Give Me Glow Juicy Olive. This is the perfectly curated khaki green palette. Now I know a lot of people who are into greens are into like very, very bright greens. I love a khaki vibe, especially in the autumn winter. And this one is just perfect. You've got two really nice shimmers. One's a little lighter, one's a little darker. Got a really good mix of greens from the really light khaki to this really, really super deep, almost black green, which is gorgeous. This palette is just a really great, really curated palette, and I love Give Me Glow's formula. So this is definitely something I would buy again, or I would rebuy. But no, I would not rebuy. I would buy if it came out today. I don't have many like very curated palettes in my collection, so that's one I really reach for. This one is Makeup by Tammy's Chasing Butterflies palette. This is such a pretty palette, and a shadow just fell out. Why every time I do a palette video does a shadow fall out? I don't know whether that one's alive because it's upside down. So there was a shadow there, but let's just focus on the 11 left. So this is what you've got. It's a really nice, quite sort of curated rainbow palette. The mattes are really nice quality. It's definitely something I would purchase again if, you know, it disappeared out of my collection. It's not the most sort of curated colour story in the world. It's not the most sort of inspiring colour story, but the shadows are really pretty, and I do love to support like a UK indie brand. As you will know if you watched this makeup look, which was a almost full face of UK indie brands, so I would probably, yes, buy this one again. Hopefully the shadows wouldn't fall out then, but you know. Next up, we've got the Kimchi Chic and Naomi Smalls Two Queens in One Desert palette, which is this one. This one again is like it has a bit of a random colour story, to be honest. This one, it's sort of trying to be a rainbow palette. It's sort of trying to be like a desert themed colour palette. It's a bit random, but I feel like you can definitely see like the distinct move between Kimchi's half, which is the lower half, and Naomi's half, which is the upper. It's definitely more sort of neutral. I think they might have been better doing this as two palettes, because when you put it together it gets kind of confusing. I can imagine if you'd have given this me when I was a beginner, I'd have been like, what the hell do you want me to do with this? There is too much stuff to think about. Actually, the shades are really beautiful. These shimmers are stunning. The mattes are really nice to work with, really blendable, really pigmented. I really do like Kimchi's shadow formula. I just think this one could be very confusing for somebody who's maybe starting out. I'm not 100% sure I would buy it again. I wouldn't be put off, and I think I would miss having Kimchi's formula in my collection, but I think now that she's brought out other things, I'd perhaps go for them over this if it came out tomorrow, because she's got like some very like curated palettes. So there's like a lime one, an orange one, a yellow one, and I think I'd probably be more likely to buy one of those than to buy this, but they came out after this, so this came out today, if you get me. Next up, we've got the only one in this collection of palettes that I really don't like. This is the Melt 420 palette. I hate this palette. If this came out tomorrow, I would spit on it. Quite frankly, because it is terrible. This is Subculture version 2. It doesn't blend. I loved the colour story because it did remind me of Subculture. Unfortunately, that should have foreshadowed the shadows, but it did not, and I still bought it. and I hate it. And I know Angelica I don't know how to say it now. Anyway, Angie, hated this one too. So it isn't just me that can't get it to work. So I was a bit like, maybe I'm just a bit rusty. No, it's just unblendable. Everything merges into one big muddy mess. It looks really nice in the swatches, but just they're so soft that the instant you put a blending brush near them, they go patchy. They blend into one another. All the tones are the same. So I mean that could be a great colour story there in itself, but the second you even try and blend anything in, it just, like, if I'm blending the deeper ones into the light, it's just patchy already. And I don't understand this palette. I don't understand how it passed quality control, quite frankly. At least with Subculture, it was like inconsistent, whereas that one is just everybody I've watched. Because I did like look up some tutorials after I picked it up and tried it, and I was like, no, it's not just me. Everybody hates it. So, you know, what can you do? That was not a good one. I wouldn't buy it again. To be honest, none of the melt palettes I've ever tried have really floated my boat. I do want to try the Gemini palettes, but I'm probably going to wait for them to be on sale because I don't want to risk paying full price for them and then it turning out like the rest of the melt palettes I've tried and me not really vibing with them. I have the Radioactive palette, which I don't mind, but that one and the Millennial Pink I don't like at all. So I'm like, do I buy them or do I just skip out on them? But everybody loved them, so maybe I should try them. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. This is Be Perfect's Manifest Your Dreams. I don't dislike this palette. It's just not very me. It's very warm tone neutrals. It's got a couple of pressed glitters in, which I like a pressed glitter. I know some people are very, very against pressed glitters, but they're nicely pigmented, have a lot of colour to them. It's just very neutral for me, and for my style these days, I wouldn't pick it up. It's a really great palette, nice quality shadows, like I said, would be great for somebody starting out, but for me it's just a bit boring. So if it came out today, I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd much rather buy the Manifest XL, I think it's called, or the bigger Manifest palette. I just prefer it. I'm not going to use this. It's just not something I would buy again. Right, next up we've got the Certify Affinity palette. Hadn't heard anything from Certify for a while until I started my new Instagram, which is EU Indie Releases. I'll leave it down below, where I'm talking about all things new indie makeup. And they had the Affinity palette on £9.50 and I dug it out and I thought, wow, I forgot how good this was. I'm sure they were about 25 originally, so the fact it's on £9.50 is an absolute bargain. They also did the Tropical Wonders palette, which is still the palette that got me into rainbow palettes, a palette that I still love. But this is just a really nice all matte, very warm palette. These shadows are beautifully pigmented. They blend really nicely into each other. I am these days more into like a matte palette and a pigment, so I really love that for that quality. And £9.50 for the quality of Certify eyeshadows is absolutely amazing. If you've not tried Certify before, you need to give them a go because I love their shadows and I have loved their shadows for a long time. It's probably about 6 years, 7 years, something crazy like that. So I really love it. I don't use it majorly often because obviously I've got 1,000 million eyeshadow palettes. But I do love it, and it's one that I'm glad was sort of, my love was reignited with it. I got Lime Crime Venus 3. Now, this one, I like it. Don't get me wrong, I like Lime Crime shadows, but I find a lot of their palettes, all the looks you do out of them look the same. Like the Venus XL, everything I do with that looks the same. With this palette, everything I do looks the same. I think it's because they don't really do that much with the mattes. So like you've got the dark brown, this red, and this sort of pinky colour. This is like a satin, this is like a satin, this is like a satin, and then these two are more metallic. So it doesn't really matter what you do, it always kind of looks the same. It's a nice quality palette. Would I buy it again? No. Would I buy it if it came out again? Maybe, because obviously I wouldn't have known that it all sort of does the same thing, because I really do like the colour story, and these two like really shimmery metallic shades are really pretty. I'm going to put them on my wrist because I'm covered in orange eyeshadow. So they are really pretty. It's a really nice formula. I just find, like I said, with with lime creme shadows, they can just tend to sort of end up looking the same, really. There's not a lot of depth in their palettes, I find. It's all very sort of same tone. This is one of my loves. This is the Unicorn Cosmetics Angel palette. This is one of my favourite pastel palettes because it's something a little bit different. I would absolutely 100% buy this one if it came out again. I like that for a pastel palette it's got some like deeper shades into the green and the black, the sort of browny colour. Even the pink's sort of got a deeper pink shade in here. It's a really beautiful palette. It's put together really well. I don't love the fact that all the pans are the different sizes. I sort of wish it was like 20 pans of the same size. But then you wouldn't get the 10 on it. So what's there? 16. So you'd lose like 4 shades. But I feel like you could probably lose the white, but that's just my kind of, I'm not really a white person. I could probably lose this highlight shade because I'm not really a highlight shade kind of person. And probably this brown because I'm not really a brown person. So I would probably prefer it if it was 20 like bigger pans, but I don't mind. It's not like I'm ever going to finish them. Am I ever going to finish any of my eyeshadows? Probably not. But yes, this is a really gorgeous palette. Would highly recommend it. I do think they do have another palette which I'm kind of intrigued by, but the colour story wasn't really something that I'd reach for, so I'd really like to see them come out with more palettes in the future because I really love this one. I've got another two that I love here. The last two are also loves. So we've got the aleibeauty Vintage Dawn. This is my favourite autumn palette. As you know, not really big on the whole neutrals thing, but this palette is gorgeous. I love aleibeauty's formula. I haven't actually bought anything from them since I bought this because they're now not on Beauty Bay, so I've got to order from the US, which I don't mind doing, but when you get shadows back crushed and shattered, it's really upsetting because there's just no point in them shipping over another palette. It's just a waste of their time and a waste of your time. So it kind of makes me sad and it kind of puts me off, but I think I might have to make an order after digging this one back out and being like, oh, I really love that palette. But yeah, this is beautiful. Really nice mix of like autumny shades. I love the fact you've got the blue and the green that you can really sort of vamp up a look with. And then you've got some very like consistent orangey, beautiful neutral tones. Love this one. Would definitely buy it again, even though I barely ever wear neutrals anymore because it's just got that little bit of pizzazz. And finally, Odin's Eye and Angelica. This is, I mean, if you look back through my Instagram, so I've been on Instagram like 12 years now, and I think I did delete some of the earlier posts, but green and pink has been a consistent in my sort of eyeshadow journey since I started wearing colour. So when they released this, I was over the moon. I love this palette. This really chunky shimmer formula is gorgeous. The mattes, as always with Odin's Eye, blend like an absolute dream. It is a really beautiful palette. This Hella shade, no it's not, it's River, is like a beautiful like duochrome. Always kind of reminds me of MAC Blue Brown. It's just a gorgeous palette, and like I said, green and pink holds a very fond place in my heart. So when this came out, I knew I had to have it, and I love it, and I really wish they'd bring it back because I think everybody should own it. So that is it for today's Would I Buy Them Again if they disappeared out of my collection / Would I Buy Them Again if they were released today. So there's a couple. Obviously the Venus 3 is a bit of a random one because I probably wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it again, but I would probably buy it if it came out today. But for the rest, I'm pretty sure on it. I probably wouldn't buy the Melt one again, just because obviously I definitely wouldn't buy it again if it disappeared. If it came out today, I'd be like, well, I don't really like the other Melt palettes I buy, so I probably wouldn't buy it either. But this one's a bit of a shock one, because it's a bit like halfy. But that's it from me today, guys. I do hope you did enjoy this video. Let me know if you've tried any of these palettes. Let me know if you love any of these palettes. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. You've been fabulous. I've been Coleoftheball, and I will see you next time. Bye.